The massive crystal halls of the Galactic Council Station buzzed with activity as dozens of alien species gathered for the morning briefing. Ambassador Veltar of the Catherian Empire clicked his sharp mandibles together as he studied the holographic display floating above the central table. The blue and green planet called Earth rotated slowly in the light, looking peaceful and small compared to the mighty worlds of the galaxy. "So these are the creatures that dare to contact us," Veltar said with amusement. His insect-like body towered over most other delegates, his forearms gesturing at the anatomical scans of humans that appeared next to Earth's image. "Look at these pathetic beings. No natural armor, no claws, no fangs. Their bones break easier than glass, and their skin tears like paper." War Chief Krex of the Drachnary hegemony leaned forward in his massive chair, his scaled hide gleaming under the station lights. His people had conquered 17 star systems through pure strength and brutality. Each Drachnary warrior could crush steel with bare hands, and their thick scales could stop plasma blasts. "I have seen stronger creatures in our food pens," he growled, his voice like grinding stone. "These humans are weaker than our youngest children." Other delegates murmured their agreement. Zephyrians with their rock-hard shells nodded slowly. The Velkari, whose razor-sharp claws could slice through starship hulls, chittered with laughter. Even the peaceful Morvani, known for their diplomatic nature, seemed puzzled by humanity's boldness in requesting contact, according to their transmission. "They call themselves the dominant species of their world," announced Secretary Vex, a small but efficient Catherian who managed the Council's daily affairs. "They claim to have achieved faster-than-light travel and wish to join the galactic community as equals." The chamber erupted in laughter. War Chief Krex slammed his fist on the table, causing several smaller delegates to jump in their seats. "Equals? These soft mammals think they can stand beside warriors who have conquered star systems. I could break a dozen of them with one hand." "Ambassador." Veltar raised one of his forearms for silence. Now, let us not be too hasty. Perhaps these humans have some value. Their technology might prove useful, and their world appears rich in resources. We should at least meet with them before deciding their fate." "What fate is there to decide?" asked Commander Zix of the Metalloid Collective, her chrome body reflecting the chamber lights. "They are clearly a primitive species that has stumbled upon space travel through luck rather than strength. Should offer them protection in exchange for their compliance." Deep in space, far from the Council Station, the human diplomatic vessel New Soul moved steadily toward its destination. The ship was smaller than most alien vessels, built for efficiency rather than intimidation. Its white hull bore the simple emblem of United Earth, a blue circle with green countenance that seemed almost childlike compared to the war banners and conquest symbols of other galactic powers. On the bridge, Ambassador Li Jun stood quietly before the main view screen, watching the distant stars. He was a man of average height by human standards, with graying hair and calm eyes that had seen much in his 50 years of life. To any alien observer, he would appear completely unremarkable, perhaps even fragile. "Sir, we'll reach Nexus Prime in 6 hours," reported Navigation Officer Kim So, a young woman whose slight build made her look like a teenager despite her expert piloting skills. "Long-range sensors show heavy traffic around the station. It's like half the galaxy wants to get a look at us." Li Jun nodded slowly. "I'm sure they do. Have Security Chief Park Min prepare the team for docking procedures. Remind everyone to follow protocol exactly. First impressions matter." In the ship's security section, Park Min was conducting final equipment checks with her team. She was a compact woman with short black hair and steady hands that never seemed to shake, no matter the situation. What alien eyes she would appear. Even more harmless than the ambassador, just another small human female going about routine duties. "Remember, we're diplomats now," she told her 5 team members as they secured their gear. "Keep your eyes open, but let the ambassador handle the talking. We're just here to make sure everyone stays safe." Sergeant Oki, a quiet man who rarely spoke above a whisper, simply nodded. Corporal Namsu, barely 5 feet tall with a friendly smile, was checking her equipment with the methodical precision of someone who had done this countless times before. The other team members, Jungwoo and Yoonhae, went about their preparations with the same calm efficiency. Back on the council station, Ambassador Veltar was already planning how to handle the human delegation. In his mind, it would be simple. The humans would dock, realize how outmatched they were by the superior alien races, and gratefully accept whatever terms the council offered. Perhaps they would even provide entertainment with their obvious fear and desperation. "Prepare the main diplomatic chamber," he ordered Secretary Thex. "Make sure the seating arrangements properly demonstrate the natural order. Humans must understand their place from the moment they arrive." War Chief Krex was also making plans, though his were more direct. If the humans proved stubborn or tried to make demands beyond their station, a simple demonstration of Drachnary strength would quickly bring them back to reality. Perhaps a few broken bones would help them understand the wisdom of accepting protection from their betters. None of the aliens suspected that they were about to encounter something completely outside their experience. In their galaxy, strength meant size, armor, claws, and brute force. They had never faced an enemy that relied on intelligence, adaptability, and the kind of cold, calculating violence that had allowed humans to claw their way to the top of Earth's food chain. The stage was set for a meeting that would change everything. The diplomatic chamber aboard Nexus Prime had been carefully designed to make visitors feel small and insignificant. The ceiling stretched high above, disappearing into shadows, while massive chairs surrounded a table that could have served as a landing pad for small shuttles. Every detail had been planned to remind lesser species of their proper place in the galactic order. Ambassador Veltar arrived first, his forearms clicking against his armored exoskeleton as he settled into his towering chair. The Catherian had specifically requested this chamber because it made him appear even more imposing than usual. His compound eyes glittered with anticipation as other council members filed in behind him. War Chief Krex entered with heavy footsteps that shook the floor. The massive Drachnary warrior had to duck slightly to fit through the doorway, his scarred hide telling stories of countless battles across the galaxy. He chose a seat directly across from where the humans would sit. Wanting them to see his full, intimidating presence throughout the negotiations, Commander Zix of the Metalloid Collective positioned herself near the chamber's main display screen, her chrome body reflecting the harsh lighting. The other delegates took their seats according to strict protocol, the most powerful species closest to the head of the table, and the lesser races arranged by rank and military strength. Secretary Thex scurried around the chamber making final adjustments. The chairs provided for the human delegation were comically oversized, forcing anyone sitting in them to dangle their feet like children. The lighting had been adjusted to cast long, threatening shadows across the table. Even the temperature had been lowered to an uncomfortable level that would make the warm-blooded humans shiver. "Everything is ready, Ambassador," Vex reported with obvious satisfaction. "The humans should feel properly overwhelmed when they enter." Through the chamber's massive viewport, the delegates could see the human ship New Sol docking at one of the station's smaller airlocks. The vessel looked tiny compared to the war cruisers and battle fortresses that filled the other docking bays. Several aliens pressed against the glass to get their first look at the creatures they had been discussing. "Look how small their ship is," laughed Commander Zix. "My personal transport has more firepower than that pathetic vessel. And look at them." War Chief Krex pointed with one massive claw as the airlock opened. "They move like frightened children." "Ambassador." Li Jun stepped into the station's corridors with calm dignity, seemingly unaware of the dozens of alien eyes watching his every move. Behind him walked his aide Kimso and cultural-attached Choi Han, both appearing completely relaxed despite being surrounded by creatures that could crush them without effort. The human delegation made their way through Nexus Prime's winding passages, drawing stares and whispered comments from every alien they passed. A group of Zephyrian merchants actually stopped their business to point and laugh at the soft-looking mammals. Several Velkari warriors clicked their claws together in amusement, making sounds that their translators rendered as mocking laughter. "They do not even wear armor," observed one Drachnary soldier to his companion. "Their skin is completely exposed. A single scratch from my claws would kill them." Li Jun heard every comment through his universal translator but showed no reaction. His team followed his example, maintaining professional composure even as aliens towered over them or deliberately blocked their path to demonstrate superior size and strength. When the humans finally reached the diplomatic chamber, the assembled council members fell silent to watch their entrance. Ambassador Veltar had positioned himself to be the first thing the humans would see. His imposing form silhouetted against the chamber's dramatic lighting. "Humans of Earth," Veltar began, his translator making his clicks sound condescending and amused. "Welcome to Nexus Prime. I am Ambassador Veltar, speaking for the Galactic Council. Please take your seats." Li Jun looked at the oversized chairs without expression, then calmly climbed into the one designated for him. His feet did not reach the floor, exactly as the aliens had planned. Kim So and Choi Han took their positions on either side, appearing even smaller in the massive furniture. War Chief Krex leaned forward, scarred face twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. "We have reviewed your species' capabilities, little mammals. The galaxy is a dangerous place, filled with predators who would devour weak creatures like yourselves without hesitation." Other delegates nodded in agreement. Commander Zix activated a holographic display showing human anatomical data alongside comparison charts of various galactic species. The humans appeared pathetically fragile next to even the weakest alien races. "Therefore," Veltar continued, "the Council has prepared a generous offer. We will place your homeworld under Catherian protection. You will provide us with your technological innovations and any biological samples we require for study. In exchange, we will ensure your planet remains intact and your species continues to exist." The chamber filled with approving murmurs from the assembled aliens. Several delegates were already calculating the value of human resources and technology. It seemed like a perfectly reasonable arrangement to them. Trading protection for servitude. Ambassador Li Jun listened patiently to every word, his expression never changing. When the aliens finished outlining their terms, he remained silent for several long moments. Delegates assumed he was overwhelmed by their generous offer and struggling to find words to express his gratitude. Finally, Li Jun spoke in calm, measured tones that carried clearly through the chamber's silence. "We appreciate your concern for humanity's welfare. But Earth seeks equal membership in this council, not subjugation disguised as protection." The reaction was immediate and explosive. Alien laughter filled the chamber as delegates slapped tables and clicked claws in amusement. Several actually began placing bets on how long it would take to break the humans. Ridiculous pride. War Chief Krex was already signaling his hidden fleet to begin the next phase of their plan. The first explosion came without warning, a thunderous blast that shook the entire diplomatic chamber. Emergency lights flickered on as the main power system stuttered, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Ambassador Li Jun felt the vibration through the massive chair he sat in, but his expression remained calm while chaos erupted around him. Alien delegates leaped from their seats in panic. Commander Zix's chrome body reflected the flashing warning lights as she activated her personal communicator. War Chief Krex stood slowly, a look of fake surprise crossing his scarred features as he pretended to be caught off guard by the attack he had secretly ordered. The station-wide alarm system began wailing, its harsh sound echoing through the corridors of Nexus Prime. Through the chamber's massive viewport, everyone could see sleek black ships emerging from behind the station's outer defense platforms. The vessels bore the skull and crossbones markings of notorious space pirates, their weapons already charging for another strike. "Pirates," bellowed Station Security Chief Thokron as he burst into the chamber. The massive Catherian warriors' natural armor gleamed with sweat as he shouted orders into his communicator. "Unknown raiders have breached the outer perimeter. All security teams to battle stations." More explosions rocked the station as the attacking ships pounded the defensive shields with plasma cannons. Through the viewport, the delegates could see smaller raider craft detaching from the main ships and heading straight for Nexus Prime's docking bays. Red warning lights strobed across their hulls as they prepared for boarding operations. The alien delegates immediately began evacuating toward their personal vessels. The Zephyrians moved in a tight group, their rock-hard shells providing natural protection as they pushed through the panicking crowds. The Valkyrie warriors extended their razor claws and cleared a path with threatening gestures. Even the normally peaceful Morvani were shoving smaller species aside in their rush to reach safety. Ambassador. Veltar grabbed Secretary Vex with two of his forearms. Get to my ship immediately. Activate all defensive systems. His compound eyes were wide with what appeared to be genuine fear, though he kept glancing at War Chief Krex with meaningful looks. Through the chaos, reports flooded in over the station's communication system. Security Checkpoint 7 has been overrun, screamed one voice. They have plasma rifles and heavy armor. Another report crackled through the static. Docking Bay 12 is under attack. We need reinforcements. The boarding parties were moving fast and hitting hard. Station security, made up of various alien species, was being overwhelmed by the coordinated assault. Thokron's warriors were falling back from every position, their standard defensive tactics proving useless against the Raiders' superior firepower and organization. In the middle of all this panic and confusion, Ambassador Li Jun remained seated in his oversized chair. He watched the evacuation with quiet interest, occasionally glancing at the tactical displays that showed the Raiders' positions throughout the station. His aide Kimso sat beside him with equal composure, while cultural-attached Choi Han calmly reviewed data on his personal tablet. War Chief Krex paused in his own evacuation preparations to stare at the humans in disbelief. "Why are you not running?" he demanded. "Can you not see that death approaches? These raiders will show no mercy to weak creatures like yourselves." Security Chief Thokron thundered past their table, shouting orders to his rapidly diminishing forces. His four eyes were wide with desperation as more bad news poured in through his communicator. "They have taken the main power station," one voice reported. "Security teams on Deck 15 are completely cut off." That was when Ambassador Li Jun stood up with deliberate calm. He straightened his simple diplomatic jacket and turned to face the towering Catharian security chief. When he spoke, his voice cut through the noise and panic like a laser beam. Security Chief Thokron Li Jun called out in perfect galactic standard. "My delegation formally requests permission to assist in station defense." The chamber fell silent except for the distant sounds of battle and the wailing alarms. Every alien present turned to stare at the small human who had just volunteered to fight against heavily armed space pirates. Several delegates' mouths fell open in shock. Thokron stopped running and slowly turned around, his four eyes blinking in complete bewilderment. You wish to fight, but you are mammals. Soft, weak mammals with no natural weapons or armor." War Chief Krex burst into loud laughter that echoed through the chamber. His plan was working perfectly. Soon, these pathetic humans would face real combat and show their true cowardly nature. Then they would beg for Drachnary protection and accept any terms offered to them. "By all means, little mammal," Krex roared with amusement. "Show us how your weak species handles real warriors. Perhaps you can throw your soft bodies at them and hope they take pity." Other delegates joined in the laughter, though several were already backing toward the exits. They wanted to watch the humans fail, but not from close enough to get caught in the crossfire. The idea of these fragile creatures fighting against armored pirates was so ridiculous it seemed like entertainment. What none of them knew was that Ambassador Li Jun had spent 20 years commanding Earth's most elite special operations units. The 6-person security team he had brought was composed of veterans who had survived conflicts that would have terrified the galaxy's strongest warriors. Behind his calm diplomatic mask, Jun was already analyzing the tactical situation and planning the Raiders' complete destruction. The real battle was about to begin. Security Chief Parkman moved like liquid shadow through the station's corridors, her small frame allowing her to slip past confused alien civilians without being noticed. While the other delegates had fled to their ships, she had quietly accessed Nexus Prime's central computer system using skills learned during Earth's cyber wars. Her fingers danced across the alien interface with practiced precision. "June, I have eyes on everything," she whispered into her communicator in Korean, knowing the aliens' translators would not understand their native language. "These aren't real pirates. They're using military formation patterns. Standard Draknary breach tactics. This is a setup. Ambassador Li Jun stood calmly in the diplomatic chamber while chaos raged around him. Through his earpiece he could hear Park Min's tactical analysis mixing with the sounds of distant gunfire. Understood. Deploy standard counterboarding protocols. Show them what real warfare looks like. The human security team scattered through Nexus Prime with silent efficiency that would have impressed any military observer. But the aliens were too busy panicking to notice how the humans moved with the fluid coordination of a unit that had fought together for years. Sergeant Oki disappeared into the station's maintenance tunnels, his thin build allowing him to crawl through spaces that larger aliens could never access. The tunnels formed a hidden network throughout the entire station, and Oki knew exactly how to use them. He had memorized the station's blueprints during the journey from Earth, a habit that had kept him alive through dozens of combat missions. Meanwhile, Corporal Gnome Sue climbed to the upper observation decks with the agility of a trained acrobat. Her friendly appearance had fooled every alien she met, but she was actually one of Earth's most skilled snipers. From her elevated position, she could see the entire central hub where the main fighting was taking place, the Draknary boarding. Parties were advancing through the station with overwhelming force, their massive forms pushing through defensive positions like unstoppable juggernauts. Each warrior stood over 8 feet tall, covered in natural scales that could deflect most weapons. Their strength was legendary throughout the galaxy, capable of crushing steel bulkheads with bare hands. Station security was falling back from every position. The Catherian guards fired their plasma rifles desperately, but the energy bolts simply scattered off Draknary armor. The Fusiphorian security officers tried to use their rock-hard shells as shields, but the raiders' heavy weapons punched through them like paper. Sector 7 has fallen. Security Chief Thokron's voice crackled over the communication system. We cannot stop them. They are too strong. That was when the real fighting began. Oki struck first, emerging from a ventilation shaft directly. Behind a group of Draknary raiders, they never saw him coming. Using a simple maintenance tool as a weapon, he targeted the weak points in their armor that Parkman had identified from the station's medical database. The raiders had been so confident in their strength that they forgot to guard their vulnerabilities. The first Draknary warrior went down with a confused grunt, his nervous system disrupted by Oki's precise strike. The second turned around just in time to see a small human disappear back into the shadows. By the time the remaining raiders realized they were under attack, 2 more of their number were unconscious on the floor, from her position in the upper decks. Namsu began providing overwatch for the station's remaining defenders. Her shots were impossibly accurate, targeting specific points on Draknary armor that caused their weapons to malfunction or their communication systems to fail. The raiders found themselves blind and confused, unable to coordinate their attacks. Zhang Wu and Yunhei worked as a team in the lower levels using the station's own security systems against the invaders. They had spent years fighting in Earth's urban conflicts, where survival meant turning any environment into a weapon. Loose cables became tripwires, maintenance panels became explosive traps, and emergency systems became tools of war. But it was Ambassador Li Jun himself who truly shocked the alien observers. Moving through the corridors with deadly calm, he encountered his first group of Draknary raiders near the main power station. The aliens had been expecting terrified civilians or overwhelmed security forces, not a middle-aged human in a diplomatic suit. The lead raider, a massive warrior with scars covering half his face, laughed when he saw Li Jun approaching. Look, brothers, a soft little mammal comes to play warrior. The Draknary charged forward with bone-crushing strength, expecting to end the fight with a single blow. What happened next defied everything the aliens thought they knew about combat. Li Jun simply stepped aside at the last possible moment. Using the raider's own momentum against him, Massive Warrior crashed through a bulkhead and lay still, his own strength having been turned into a weapon against him. The other raiders stared in shock as their unstoppable companion was defeated by what appeared to be a gentle push in the diplomatic chamber. The remaining alien delegates watched through security feeds as their assumptions about human weakness crumbled before their eyes. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were winning, and they made it look effortless. War Chief Krex watched, his own soldiers being systematically defeated by creatures he had dismissed as prey animals. His scarred face twisted with confusion and growing fear as he realized the trap he had set was closing around him instead. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson about the difference between strength and power. 2 hours after the attack began, complete silence filled the corridors of Nexus Prime. The emergency alarms had stopped wailing. The red warning lights had returned to normal station illumination. In the main security center, 37 Drachnary prisoners sat in restraints, their heads hanging in shame and confusion. Not a single human had been injured during the entire battle. Security Chief Thokron stood among the captured raiders, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. His own security forces had been overwhelmed within minutes. Yet these small humans had ended the threat so quickly that many station residents had not even finished evacuating. The Catherian warrior's mandibles clicked nervously as he tried to understand what he had witnessed. Ambassador, Li Jun walked calmly into the diplomatic chamber, his simple suit slightly wrinkled but otherwise unchanged from when the fighting began. Behind him, his security team filed in with the same quiet professionalism they had shown throughout the battle. Parkman carried a datapad filled with evidence, while the others maintained their positions with alert but relaxed postures. Alien delegates who had remained on the station gathered slowly, their earlier confidence replaced by obvious uncertainty. War Chief Krex entered last, his massive frame seeming somehow smaller than before. His scarred face showed confusion and growing fear as he realized his carefully planned demonstration had backfired completely. The situation has been resolved, Li Jun announced to the assembled group, his voice carrying the same diplomatic calm he had maintained throughout the negotiations. All hostile forces have been neutralized and captured. Station security has been restored to normal operations. Ambassador Veltar's compound eyes focused on the small human with new intensity. He asked, his translator rendering his clicks. With barely concealed amazement, how did you accomplish what our combined security forces could not? Security Chief Parkman stepped forward and activated her datapad, projecting tactical information into the center of the chamber. The attacking force consisted of 37 Drachnari, military personnel conducting a false flag operation. They used standard hegemony breach tactics, carried regulation plasma rifles, maintained military communication protocols throughout the engagement. War Chief Krex's scales flushed dark with embarrassment and rage. You cannot prove such accusations. These were clearly pirates using stolen equipment. Parkman smiled politely and highlighted several data points on her display. Actually, we recorded everything. Your soldiers maintained perfect formation discipline, used classified Drachnary tactical codes, and 3 of them were still wearing their military identification beneath their disguises. She paused to let this information sink in before continuing. Additionally, the attack ships used approach vectors that are only taught in Drachnary military academies. No pirate organization has access to that level of strategic training. The silence in the chamber was complete. Even the normally confident Commander Zix remained motionless, our chrome surface reflecting the shocked expressions of the other delegates. The humans had not only defeated the attack, they had completely exposed the deception behind it. Ambassador Veltar found his voice first. Though his usual condescending tone had been replaced by cautious respect, how did you know? How did you recognize the attacker's true nature so quickly? Li Jun's expression remained diplomatically neutral, but there was steel beneath his calm exterior. Ambassador, humanity did not reach the stars by being naive about political manipulation. We recognized Drachnary military tactics within minutes of the attack beginning. The real question is whether you still believe we require protection from superior forces. To emphasize the point, Corporal Namsu casually began field stripping. Her sidearm, the precise clicks of components being disassembled and reassembled, echoing through the quiet chamber. It was a subtle reminder that the humans remained armed, alert, completely unintimidated by the aliens surrounding them. The psychological effect was immediate and profound. As creatures they had dismissed as weak prey animals had just demonstrated capabilities that exceeded anything the galactic powers could field. Worse, they had done it while maintaining perfect diplomatic composure, never once losing their professional demeanor. War Chief Krex struggled to comprehend what had happened to his carefully planned operation. His strongest warriors, veterans of countless campaigns, had been defeated by creatures that looked like they could be broken by a strong wind. "How many of your species possess such abilities?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Ambassador." Li Jun's response sent a chill through every alien present. His diplomatic smile never wavered, but his words carried implications that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of human capability. "War Chief, you encountered 6 humans today. There are 8 billion more on Earth, and most of them have not spent the last 20 years learning diplomacy and restraint like my team and I have." The implications hung in the air like a plasma charge ready to detonate. If these were humans, trained for peaceful negotiations, what would their actual warriors be capable of? The thought terrified every delegate present. Ambassador Veltar was already reaching for his communication device, his earlier arrogance completely forgotten. "The Galactic Council will be honored to welcome humanity as full members with complete equality and representation rights," he announced hastily. Li Jun inclined his head graciously. "We look forward to a productive and mutually beneficial partnership with all council members." As the human delegation prepared to return to their ship, the alien observers maintained respectful distance. They had learned that strength came in many forms, and that their galaxy's newest members were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The age of human diplomacy had begun, and nothing would ever be the same.